text me at 312-480-9775, and our text line will respond directly to you, you know. So
yes,
we are really, you know, I'll just say this, and I'm not going to get too deep into it, but I wasn't necessarily feeling well today, you know.
Yes, sir.
But it's something about the Holy Quran says, respond to Allah and His Messenger when He calls you to that which gives you life.
Right.
And when I hear that theme music, and brothers, when I hear your voices, it's a reminder of the conditions that our people face. And we don't do this as a pastime, brothers and sisters. We don't do it for money because we're still trying to build this into something that will generate money, that will be self-sustaining. Because we have to do something for ourselves. So we're counting on you and others. If you want to do a radio spot, you can text us at 312-480-9775. You got a business you want us to promote. You want to do some kind of sponsorship or partnership, we are ready for that. I want to start off, brothers, you know, because I saw something. I didn't have the time to get into it as deep as I wanted. But this is from the final call, and you need to get this current edition. The cover is The Wheel and the Days of Allah.
Come on now.
The Wheel and the Days of Allah. And the headline reads, former military and government officials call for full disclosure of UFOs. So this was a joint hearing of subcommittees in the House Oversight and Accountability Committee. And it was about government research on what used to be called UFOs, which they now call UAPs, unidentified anomalous phenomenon. And the members of Congress heard from former military and government officials. And they testified. Now, you know, when you testify before Congress, you if you lie and perjure yourself, you can go to jail.
That's right.
Right? You can go to jail for that. But they said that for decades there's evidence proving that these crafts exist, along with research on recovered crafts, and that has been purposely withheld from the American people. So this hearing was November 13th, and Representative Robert Garcia of California, a Democrat, said that this phenomenon requires further investigation and bipartisan cooperation because of its implications for national security. He said that these objects have been violating American airspace and waters with impunity. So we want you to go, and Brother James, I really hope you can weigh in on some of this.
Oh, yes, sir.
You can go to finalcall.com and read this. But I want to say this, brothers and sisters. When you listen to these hearings, and you can probably get this hearing online, don't be distracted about talk about aliens and did you find the alien body?
Right.
Okay? See, that's the trick bag.
Right.
They want the public to be caught up in that kind of stuff. Did you hide a body? Who got the body? Did it look, was it green? Was it lizard? Was it Nordic white? What was it? And they take you away from the real issue, which is national security. Why are these things seen as a national security threat? Why is the government now, after so many years, started a few years ago, letting out more information, more hearings? You know, something's going on here. What do you think, Brother James?
Yes, sir. Brother, you just opened a can of Navy beans there, brother. A couple of things I'm thinking as you were talking. So, number one, this is I guess what you call a Judeo-Christian nation, and they are very heavily believing in the Bible. And so you get the picture of these wheel-like objects in the sky in several places in the Bible, and prophets and messengers or whatever being taken up in these. And our people, whose faith is the Christian faith and the Muslim faith, you know, believe this. So if you believe it, now these were thousands of years ago. So thousands of years ago, what did that look like? If you believe that happened, and people on this earth were looking up in the sky and saw that, you as a Christian today, or just a person who is a believer or not, look up in the sky, you're thousands of years ago, what did that look like? It talked about, you know, it looked like it had windows in it, you know, and it's a huge wheel. What did that look like back then? And if you could believe it happened back then, and now we believe everything that white folks say. They weren't telling us this 50 years ago like they're telling us now, but now they're just admitting that this exists. So as a person of faith, or even not of faith, but as a black person in America, how do you view what you're hearing on the news and seeing, may have even seen for yourself some of these vessels in the sky? What are you thinking about? What are we thinking as people, black people here about? How do we explain it? And as you said, Brother Naba'a, do we just accept the explanation that the people who we know have always lied to us about damn near everything, that they're going to be giving us the full truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth about this? I think we should think very hard about this. The other thought I had is that in the 30s, and it's documented where the FBI, the government, raided the facilities of the Nation of Islam, who were the first, just think about that, the first to really talk about these objects and have an explanation for them.
Right.
How does that happen? How does that happen? Black folk, and a black man in particular, who barely made it to the 4th grade, is talking about this unexplainable object in the sky, and he has clear definition and explanation for these objects in the 30s, and continue to teach about them even until today. And the government of America, whom we believe in, as you know, in this we shouldn't, but you know, many of our people fall for whatever they feel they tell us that we must do. They raided the Nation of Islam properties. It's documented. They took documents that talked about these vessels that are in the sky. And for years, They sat on it for years while other countries were revealing to their public about some of these unexplainable objects. The government kept it above top secret here. Now they're saying these things exist. We as a black people need to give some serious discussion, some serious thought about what these vessels are, and some serious consideration to what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said about them, since white folks are telling us that they don't know what they are, or that they're from some alien place in the solar system. So we need to study the Honorable Elijah Muhammad on this. I'll end it there for now, Brother Naba'a. Yeah.
You know, Brother James, so we would have to ask the question, so what did the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teach about these crafts starting in the 1930s? And now we are in 2024. So the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad have almost been in this country for 100 years.
That's right.
But his teachings have never veered from this point. I want you to consider that. the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, his top student, and the man who Allah blessed to bring the nation back after it was totally destroyed.
Totally.
Property sold, national structure disbanded.
Brother Naba'a.
Totally. Yeah, go ahead, Brother James.
I just don't forget where you are. But you said, I wanted to just make a point on that. You said that the nation was totally destroyed. Well, did the people know that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told the minister and probably others that one day all of you will leave me?
Yeah.
It's going to fall. This is what he, according to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, who is the most honest man I know living, that the nation, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told him, and probably others, that you're all going to leave me. The nation is going to fall. But don't worry, it's going to come back and will never fall again. That's what he told him.
Right.
Secondly,
that's right.
He told him, when he told him that on another occasion, or it may have even been the same occasion, he told the minister, basically, and this is not his exact words, obviously, that the minister is going to leave him. And the minister said, no, sir, no, I'm not. But then the minister just told him, but when you do leave me, I'm going to pray to Allah that he, in words, come and get you and bring you back. Now, to me, man, those 2 points, and then I can name countless others that indicate a man of knowledge and wisdom and who could see into the future. The fact that he told the minister, y'all going to leave me. And there's no doubt, Brother Naba'a died.
Yes, sir.
There was no, and he was ridiculed. The minister stood up on faith. He stood up on faith. And in 1995, called men. And don't miss your point, Brother Naba'a. But another thing, he told the minister, and I think you might have mentioned this in the last program. He said, brother, he saw the March on Washington. He said, I want to hold a March on Washington, but I don't want all that frivolity. It's got to be a serious march. 1995, the minister holds the march that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad won. I mean, you can't explain this, brother, except that it's divine. You cannot explain that away. I would love to hear someone call in to explain it away. 773-591-1690. I'm sorry to interrupt your thought, Brother Naba'a, but
no, it's okay,
you hit a
brother.
point, man.
Because I think I'm going to come back, and we got a caller. Don't go nowhere. We're going to bring you in a minute or two, okay? I promise you, I'm going to try to make my point quickly because we want to hear from you all tonight in particular. But the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught, beginning in the 1930s, that these crafts, he called them the main craft, the mother plane or wheel. Well, why the wheel, Brother Naba'a? Ezekiel's wheel in the Bible that came over and Ezekiel went up in, and the wheel was in the middle of the air and there were eyes in the wheel. This is what the Bible says. That's a prophecy, brothers and sisters. That ain't history. That's a prophecy that is being fulfilled today. So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said this mother plane or mother wheel contains 1,500 smaller wheels or baby planes. And he said his teacher now, because see, this is one of the things that folks going to have to come to grips with that they really don't want to come to grips with.
Right.
So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that his teacher, who we know as Master W. Farad Muhammad, was the great Mahdi of the Christians, and the Messiah was the Messiah of the Christians. This is who the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said his teacher was. The Messiah of the Christians and the Mahdi of the Muslims. Well, these are two highly prophetic, powerful figures that come at quote unquote the end of the world. Not the end of the planet, the end of this world, this way of life, this way of civilization, this way of thinking, this way of operating. Okay? And he said that his teacher, Master Farad Muhammad, pointed out this dreadful-looking plane in the sky and taught him about the aim and the purpose. And he said that the mother plane was made to destroy. This is the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. This quote is this quote is from The Fall of America. Quote, the mother plane was made to destroy this world of evil and to show the wisdom and mighty power of the God who came to destroy an old world and set up a new world. Right? Listen to these words from Minister Farrakhan, then we're going to go to the caller. This man, Master Fard Muhammad, pointed out to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad a dreadful-looking plane in the sky, a half mile by a half mile, a human-built planet on which are 1,500 little planes that are up there in fulfillment of Ezekiel's vision that you find in the first chapter of the book of Ezekiel, verses 1 to 28. You hear me now? Grab your Bible or Google it on your phone. First chapter, book of Ezekiel, verses 1 to 28. The minister, he said this when he gave part 2 of the Savior's Day message in 2010, the will and change from God himself. And it was themed the time and what must be done, the will. So we'll come back to that, but let's bring the caller in and let's keep this conversation going. I guess this might be the conversation for this hour, huh?
Yes, sir. It's good stuff. Good stuff. Hey, brothers and sisters, 773-591-1690, 773-591-1690. Brother Art, you're on WVON on Straight Words. Go ahead and talk to us, big brother.
Hey, what's going on, young people? Assalamu alaikum to you all.
Wa alaikum salam.
All right. It's not hard to believe that that's the easiest thing to believe, that someone exists outside of us. So to me, that's nothing for me or anybody. If, people exist all around the world. So I'm quite sure there's other civilized things going on outside of the world as we know it on this planet. So that's not hard to believe. If somebody find that hard to believe, something wrong with it. So to think that is not, to me, hard to believe. But the part that I do have a bit trouble with is that it's been 100 years, as you say. And as I've heard, not just from the nation, but Jehovah's Witnesses, the Bible been around before the Nation of Islam. The Bible went around from a lot of organizations and, religious people. So, I mean, it's nothing new, because if the Bible is older than the nation, then, I mean, the information.
Yeah, but let me stop you for a minute, Art. There is something new, because no one has come with this interpretation and understanding that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad brought. But go ahead.
Well, I would say, I think it's for black people, from that perspective, to our community, from that perspective, we can go along with that. But overall, I don't think it's nothing new. It was some new things to me. If I ain't never heard it, of course it's new, because I ain't never heard it. But that's not to say to other people, because if Master Farrakhan Muhammad heard it, that means his people he knew heard it before he got it. So, that's
well, but no. Let me stop you. Let me stop you. Master Fard Muhammad created these vehicles.
Architect of it.
He did that.
Right.
So he didn't get plans from somebody else. We are saying that this man is the divine supreme being, period. So when the Holy Quran says there's none like him, it means there is none like him. Not just his person, but hold on, let me finish and I'm going to let you go. But his knowledge and his ability to move things, to destroy a world, and to destroy our enemy who has a grip on the whole world. Go ahead.
Well, what I say to that, and this is where my struggle is when it comes to that. For me, I personally cannot serve anybody if they got to sit in the classroom for white people to learn something, for me, they cannot be God, because God don't have to sit in no classroom to learn nothing, to figure nothing out. He ain't got to do none of that, because he's all-knowing all things. So when some of these things that I think we talk about, I think we have to be a bit careful, because at some point in time, some sense of logic come in. I can't understand a God sitting in the classroom with white people trying to figure out who they are and what they're doing.
Well, who said that? Hold on. No.
Sure.
Who said that Master Fard Muhammad sat in a classroom with white people to figure out what was going on?
Right.
Well, according to the teaching, he
absolutely no part of the teaching says that he sat in a classroom with white folks to figure out who they were and what needed to happen.
Oh,
never. And you can't quote it. You can't tell me a book, a newspaper article, a lecture from. I mean, if you got one.
No. If you say you didn't, I take it. Hold on. If you say that there's no teaching that Master Farrakhan Muhammad sat in the classroom and he didn't have to learn, he wasn't born from a man and a woman. Because according to what I heard, he was born from
you changing the subject now.
Right.
No. Two different things. No. It's two different things. He did not have to sit. You were saying you found it difficult to believe a man that's supposed to be God got to sit in the class with white folk and be instructed. I said, absolutely not. That never happened. Now, if you're talking about him being taught and born from a woman, he absolutely was. And again, we go back to the 12 scientists and what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught. Go ahead. Okay, go ahead and end with it.
Okay, I'm just going to end with this. I cannot accept that God had to be born through no man, no woman, and then he had to learn breastfeed and all this other stuff. All that. I cannot accept no God. That's very good.
Let him go, James. Thank you, Art.
No, brother. Hold on, don't let me go. We're gonna have the dialogue. Don't let me go.
I'm sorry. If you haven't finished making your point, go on and make your point. I thought
but Brother James, this is something that bothers me. If I am challenging or have an issue or concern, and you feel that everything you're saying the truth, it should just be addressed. I'm saying that's the difficult part.
I've been addressing it. Ain't nobody stopped you from talking?
Okay.
Go ahead.
It's a difficult part to accept that God had to be.
Right.
For me and many other people I speak with, it ain't just me.
And for many people I speak with, it's not difficult. But go ahead.
Okay, then.
Go ahead. That's clear. You made your point. Go ahead.
It's extremely difficult to accept that God had to be born through a man and a woman, and now he has to learn and all these different things that we said takes place. That it's extremely hard to accept. That is hard to accept. I can't serve someone who came the same way that I came. It doesn't make sense and say he's God, because God is all-knowing, ever-existing, that he either he is or he isn't. So that is something very challenging to accept. So I can't accept that as a grown man to say, hey, God was born, and he had to go through this, he had to read books and all this other stuff. That's not logical to me at all. It's not logical.
No.
It's just not logical.
Problem. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Go ahead, Brother James, whatever point. I didn't mean to cut you off.
I was going to ask him some questions because I don't know if he's still on, but I mean, so what is, number one, I wanted to believe if he believed in a divine being. Okay, if he says yes or yeah, well then what is his interpretation or his feeling of divine? And based on that, I definitely had another question, but I wanted to hear him tell me what his interpretation, if he believed there was a divine. If he don't, then there's no discussion. So I don't.
No, he said he basically said he believes in God.
Yeah, so that's what I was going to question him on. Well, what form does he take? Because if he's saying he is of the faith, of the belief as I used to be, that there's a God in the sky, a spirit God who has no form, don't know where heaven is, and from the descriptions of heaven, it can't exist there. from the descriptions of the hereafter or the afterlife, where everybody of good that we've ever known, and even from thousands of years ago, will be spirits somewhere with wings, as we have been taught. So if he is of that thought, then tell me that. Or if he has a different thought of what his interpretation of that life is, I'd like to hear that, or who that supreme being is. If it's not that spiritual fantasy, then I would like to know that so we can hear where he's coming from. Because if he doesn't believe, if he could tell me that he can't accept a God or a supreme being that is born of a man and woman, or who had to study to reach the level of intelligence that he was able to, who could put the design for the craft that we're talking about, he can't believe that. Okay, well, if what is it? Do you believe that one of the animals in nature that is God, as some past civilizations may have thought that a lion, you can accept a lion, that's the form of God or whatever. I'm just throwing that out to hear. I wanted to hear him explain those questions, because then I could hear where you're coming from and be able to have that dialogue to maybe help him to. Well, yeah. I won't say that, but I just wanted to hear him.
I'll say this: logic. Is it logical to believe that a spirit God created a physical universe, and it's so why?
Would be interested in it. Yeah, would be interested in it.
Why? And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and when you look in the books, brothers and sisters, let me get back to something real simple. One, first of all, these crafts exist. The U.S. government admits that now. So if the crafts are real, somebody made them.
That's right.
Who is the source of talking about who the somebody is and what the purpose of the crafts are? That's the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And if there's anybody that explained these things like he did before him, they ain't stepped forward yet to say, no, I said that first. Right. No. So that's 1, 2, logic. 3, the Bible and the Holy Quran, when they talk about God, they describe him as what? He, his, ruler? Huh?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
They don't say it. Yeah. They don't say it. In every language, there's a distinction between male, female, human life, and some other kind of life. It never says it. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad points out, the Bible says that God then made this man in his image and in his likeness. Well, if he was a spook, why didn't he make a spook man? But if it was in his image and likeness, it was the human being who the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, the black man in particular, is the maker of the cream of the universe and God of the universe.
All of that is what you would have, the argument to be presented, because it could have been made very plain. So that was my point.
Yeah. So logic. It's logical to think that God is all wise, but he ain't got no brains. Right?
That's right.
He all wise. So where's his wisdom held at? In this one from the beginning, he's still floating around in space. And a man, Jesus, is out in space with him with a wound in his side that never healed.
And the other part. Go
ahead, Brother James.
No, you go ahead. Lastly, you said.
Lastly, look up these words, brothers and sisters. Look up these words. Supreme. What does that mean? The highest being, that which exists. Huh? So you're not talking about no spook and no spirit? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us that's slavery teaching. So you get yours in the great by and by. But the white man gets his right on this earth, and ain't brothers. Look, man.
Yeah, hey.
I lost my mom and my father, and a aunt, and a brother, and a cousin, and a nephew. None of them have come back. And when you're thinking you're going to die, what do? 99.9% of the time, you fight for the life you have, and you fight to stay here. Because your very nature says, this is it. The question is now, what plane do you live life on? Do you live it on an animal savage level? Or do you live it on a divine, God-driven, not spook God? Wise, powerful, manifestation. So I can't believe that God is a man and follow him. God as a man is only teaching you your potential. Doesn't the book say ye are all God's children of the Most High God?
It is.
Hey, brother, and it says the sons of God came to the Lord, and Satan was right with them.
Mm-hmm.
Where cometh thou, Satan? So, here's some brothers walking up to their father, and the devil's right with him. But I was going back to the other point was, I talked about learning or whatever. Can't believe that somebody's going to sit down and learn. But every one of us, are those included who have issues with some of what we're saying. We went to public school, private school, whatever school we went to, it was based and nurtured in white supremacy. It was truth mixed with falsehood in all the lessons, with white supremacy at its base. So every one of us who've gone into these institutions of learning have had a dose of white supremacy as represented as knowledge and education, where there was truth so that you could swallow it, but it was mixed with falsehood, so it made us sick in the mind. And so to contend that you can't be taught it's not like you came from other source of learning unless you came through a different source of knowledge, which we say that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad represent a different stream of knowledge that was pure truth, not filtered with falsehood, that cleansed our bodies of the white supremacist bent that we had from learning from Caucasian-rooted schooling. Not that we've been totally purified, but we're continuing in that process of purification by trying to seek true knowledge. And so the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the foundation of it, shook the foundation of the Caucasian systems, all of them, education, politics, law, all of them. And so continues right now the number one contender for the supremacy or the ownership of planet Earth, Elijah Muhammad's teaching versus white supremacist teaching. All of the nations have bowed to America and the Western European systems. Right now, as a result of the introduction of new knowledge coming from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad in the 30s, countries, initially, we had the Black Power Revolution that was rooted in the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And that started spreading throughout the world to right now. You have countries bucking white supremacy for rulership now. And it's all based and rooted in what came out of a new system of knowledge that confronted white supremacy. So to Art and others who think that you've not been nurtured by a white frame of mind, I think you've mistaken. And if you haven't sought out a different stream of knowledge of your own, but that stream is going to come from somewhere, and that somewhere is either going to be coming from a person, a man or a woman, but to the level that knowledge bucks this system is to the level that you will then be identified as an enemy of this system. And I'll leave it there, Brother Naba'a.
And we got some callers, brother. Brother Cliff is hanging on right now on WVON, going to join the conversation. 773-591-1690. Go ahead, Brother Cliff. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum, brothers. Thanks for taking my call. Listen, that's the main reason why I called in tonight, because what you saw on the news, Elon Musk is like just chumming up to Trump. They just launched a rocket into inner space, man. So as soon as I saw that segment, I was like, here we go. And I want to say to Art, and this is a response to what he said, and also just want to try to maybe direct you brothers in another area briefly, is that there is an agenda that's planned, okay, for us as a black people. Okay, no question. I don't think it's any other race but black people. And we can get into that. That's you brothers know why black people. But here in America, there is an agenda, and even Minister Farrakhan spoke of that, even in his sermons and his lectures, that there is plans for us coming from our oppressor, to annihilate us. Now, let me say this, is that, to give you some proof, right? You had COVID-19. That was not by mistake, all right? And we had the black Christian community that took the vaccine. We had a whole bunch of other people, and I'm just giving you subjects that we were deceived, in my opinion. Okay, voting for Trump, we were deceived in that. These are black people now, us as black people. We were deceived. And the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, number one, told us not to take the vaccine. Then he told us when it came down to voting, don't vote neither one of them, but put God in. Then he's telling us how to live and how to eat. So when the minister man says, he got an army, don't touch him, don't even think about it. And he's telling the oppressor, because I got an army that you see and I got an army that you don't see. Black folks don't know about this. Black preachers don't even know about this, the wheel within the middle of the wheel. So the point I'm making is that and Art was right. The masses of black people don't have a clue of what's coming. And I would say this, that me as a Christian, that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is divine. So when he said that he has visions of what's coming, I'm saying, he's speaking truth. And so as it relates to what's coming in terms of the wheel in the middle and what's coming right, we in trouble. And the majority of us as black people will be deceived listening to the white man, whose main purpose is to deceive and destroy us as black people. So with that being said, I conclude by saying that me, myself, and the few, the elect, will be committed to listening to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and we will be saved, while the masses of black people will be destroyed. Does that make a little bit of sense?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, brother. That's all I just wanted to say.
All right. Thank you, sir. 773-591-1690, 773-591-1690. You're listening to Straight Words, brothers and sisters. Brother Naba'a, Richard Muhammad, Brother James, G. Muhammad, yours truly, Brother BJ, joined this intense conversation tonight. So do y'all think y'all pretty much got all y'all wanted to get out about that subject, Art? Kind of wanted to challenge you on that question. That y'all explained it well like I wanted to?
I did. I don't, Brother Naba'a. We could.
I think I did. I think I did a good job of explaining it.
I think. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I think when we got it out there, we just need folks to kind of do some research for themselves, and we continue to do our research, and we can just come together and have a dialogue so that we can get clarity. Because we. Yeah,
we don't never shy away from this is the most controversial knowledge, the knowledge of God and understanding it. And like you said, brother, we've been brainwashed by white supremacy. We believe what white folks tell us. But when a black man come and give you these truths, and then you see all of this unfolding before your eyes, y'all got to get the latest newspaper, the Farrakhan newspaper. And I wanted to say this too, brother. when you talk about that wheel, you know, I was born and raised in Goldsboro, North Carolina. I think it was episode number 52 of The Time of What Must Be Done, when the minister talked about the wheel, when it encountered the B-52 from Goldsboro, North Carolina, Seymour Johnson Air Force Base. And I lived at the back gate. I grew up at the back gate of Seymour Johnson Air Force Base. I didn't know none of this stuff was going on, brother. But in 1961 is when it had that encounter with the wheel. And the Seymour Johnson Air Force Base is known for the B-52s. So from 1961 to I think 1969, the B-52 stayed in the air 24 hours a day looking for the wheel. But we didn't know why they were staying up there until we met the teachers of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
Exactly.
Yes, sir.
Exactly.
Yeah, you know,
take off.
I wanted to
every morning, brother.
Wow. Yeah, I wanted to say this. Do we believe that the white man is the devil? I'll tell you what. Ask our people that question today, and I'm telling you, a majority going to say yes.
Right.
Because they've seen his evil, and they call him the devil now. So if you can believe that the devil can be manifested in a man, but God cannot, logic.
Come on.
Right? Lastly,
Yes,
I'm going to close with this in terms of who taught Master Farrakhan Muhammad. We are taught, brothers and sisters, that the knowledge of God, the reality of God, has been hidden for trillions of years. Did you hear me?
That's right.
And all of these other concepts were allowed to go forward. And that there have always been those, a council or a group of 24. Where do you get that from, Brother Naba'a? Good question. Why don't you try going to Revelation verses 4 and 4? Surrounding the throne were 24 other thrones, and seated on them were 24 elders. They were dressed in white and had crowns of gold on their heads. So who are these 24 elders? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us that they were 24 scientists, 12 major, 12 minor. And they write the history of the planet in advance by looking at the ways, the actions, and thoughts of the people. Ain't that what the U.S. government and other governments do today? They predict, they write the future about what to expect in their nations based on conditions, actions, attitudes, and thinking of the people. But you think that's only something they can do. But the one that's all knowing, all powerful, he can't do that. So there's a lot to this, brothers and sisters. So, Will, I'll tell you what, let's go to the break, Brother BJ.
Yes, sir.
If you call in, we'll deal with more of your questions. If you don't have no questions, we got what I thought was the big subject coming at 10 o'clock. Looked like this was a big subject.
Yes, sir.
But,
real big.
Brothers and sisters, go to finalcall.com and just search these things. Read the current article, but then you can go back and back and back and read others. We got great scholarship on this. All right, Brother BJ.
Yes, all right, brother, we got J.A. Salam. He's going to stand by for the next hour. And Sister Tawan, she's on all the way from D.C. She's going to chime in on the conversation tonight. But we got some good stuff with your brothers and sisters. Stand by, 773-591-1690, 773-591-1690. And, brothers, we need to talk about how we need to support to keep this show on the air. Everybody's been doing a wonderful job contributing. So, everybody, Brother James G., you real good. And
man.
you hot hot right now, too, Brother Naba'a. Go ahead and tell everybody how they can get that money.
Well, I want to tell brothers and sisters how invaluable this knowledge from the minister is, and this is why they should support this station, because we're unapologetically pro-Farrakhan. Just pick up the Final Call newspaper, the latest one about the wheel, and look on page 10. And a can of worms has just been opened. When the minister told us not to take that COVID shot, a lot of us didn't take it seriously, and then there's been some deaths as a result of that. But just to mention a story that you can find on page 10, a woman just received $12.7 million in a jury trial for being fired for not taking the COVID-19 vaccine. So I just want to drop that there so you can go read that, because a lot of people did suffer that, and there's been a big award for that. So, but if you value the teachings of and the information coming from this program that we are getting from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, then please go to straightwords.com, donate what you can, and watch the blessings pour in. We're not selling that miracle water that guy sells on the TV, where you throw it and then you faint and you wake up and you're still in the same condition. We're giving freely miracle information, and if you choose to make a donation for it to help us to continue to do this, then go to straightwords.com, or you can text. Give them the number, Brother BJ, before you take us to the break.
312-480-9775. That's 312-480-9775. Brother Naba''s got the text line right beside him right now, so you can chat with him while we go into the break. You're listening to WVON 1690, the talk of Chicago. You're listening to Straight Words. We're going to be back next hour with some more powerful black talk on WVON.
Yes, sir.
The talk of Chicago and the voice of the nation is 1690 WVON, Bergen, Chicago.